you guys ready to learn how to build a gaming PC for $675 that is already pretty good but has a great upgrade path?
And we're going to show you step by step how to build it and talk about how you can win one of these after a word from today's sponsor.
Are you looking for an easy to build in modern case loaded up with RGB? Well, today's video sponsor Antec has you covered with their new C3 case. The Antec C3 features premium build quality, rocking a seamless panel design, 4 pre-installed ARGB PWM fans with a built-in fan controller and ARGB hub, along with honeycomb mesh for quality airflow, support for up to 2 radiators simultaneously, up to 8 120mm fans, and all the modern connectivity you can ask for, like USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 support. This case also comes in black or white and looks absolutely beautiful for your next gaming PC build, and you should definitely learn more about it by checking the links down below. And big shout out again to Antec for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the video, shall we?
For the CPU, we have the Ryzen 5 7600. This is a 6-core 12-thread processor that is very power efficient and also very strong. This CPU right here can easily handle something like an RTX 4070 in the future if you wanted to go that route. And for the motherboard, we have the ASrock B650PG. This is an M motherboard, so it's micro ATX, and it's going to fit really nice in this case that we'll be talking about in a minute. But I really like these boards because they're just very sleek for the price. I mean, you actually get 4 RAM slots. You actually have some VRM coverage as well, so it's really not a bad board for the price. And once again, it does have an upgrade path, but we think you'll be pretty happy with it out of the box. And for RAM, we decided to go with just 16 gigs so that we could keep this build pretty cheap, but you could go 32 for a little bit more. We have some Team Group Elite Plus DDR5. This is 4800 megahertz, and once again, you could go faster, you could get more capacity, but this stuff's pretty cheap, coming in a little over $60, so you are saving almost half the price of going 32 gigs. And for storage, we've been using these a lot. Solidigm 1TB Gen 4 NVMe SSD. These are awesome SSDs because they're one of the cheapest Gen 4 drives, and Solidigm is a very long-running company that we kind of trust, and we have never had an issue with one of their drives, and they're very fast for the price.
Now for the GPU, we went with the used market here with this 1660 Super. Now the concept of this build, again, is to get entry-level AM5 to where you can get it on the AM5 platform and have a good upgrade path, and also go budget with the graphics card, because obviously you can upgrade the graphics card pretty easily down the line, and as long as you're on AM5 with that 7600, you're gonna have really good performance in esports titles. So it's kind of an experiment build to see what kind of performance can we get in esports titles using that high-end new Ryzen CPU and pair with a used budget GPU like this 1660 Super. I think we're gonna get good results in esports titles. Higher end games might be a little bit of a struggle, but you will have that upgrade path so you can get a better GPU in the future. But the model we went with is this EVGA, RRP EVGA 1660 Super. We've got a couple of these that will be available at PCBros.tech. If you wanna buy a PC and maybe not build it yourself, you can do that and get a 1-year warranty. But yeah, 6 gigs of VRAM, enough for the latest esports titles, and stretching into AAA titles at lower settings at 1080p. Should have no problems with this graphics card. Now for the power supply. This is a PC Bros special right here, guys. This is the Segotep GN650W 80+ gold power supply. Again, with upgrade path in mind, 650 watts is kind of overkill for this build. We could have gotten away with 500 watts if we wanted to, but we have enough power here to support like an RTX 4070 or an RX 7700 XT if you want to upgrade down the line, which we would recommend. And yeah, really reliable unit. We use at PC Bros and in a lot of the PC build guides here on the channel. Now, it was kind of an accident that Antec was the sponsor of this video with that pre-roll, but we also picked out this Antec case, the Antec NX200M, which is a newer version because it comes with RGB fans. I will say they are just static RGB. They are not ARGB to where you can customize individual colors. You just have this one RGB mode, but considering it's the same price as the NX200M was without any fans, well, with one plain fan, I really can't complain here, and it's gonna make our build look much more modern on a budget. Micro ATX case, good airflow, tempered glass side panel, and again, with those 3 fans, it's gonna be a really awesome looking build. But in these videos, guys, we like to show you guys step by step how to build this PC. So Jackson, I'm gonna show you how to put the motherboard together, CPU, RAM, storage, cooler, all good to go. Now I'm gonna show you how to put the power supply in. We're gonna put that all together, and then we're gonna get to some gaming to see how this combination works, and hopefully we'll be very impressed with the performance.
Alright guys, we got the 7600 out of the box ready to go. No pins on the CPU, so you really just got to be careful with the motherboard. So we just open the latch up just like that. See that arrow right there? We're actually going to be lining up these arrows just like that. So we'll go ahead and drop this into place. And I recommend kind of like lining up one side and then just kind of dropping the other side. You do a visual inspection, make sure it looks good. This plastic piece will kind of pop off at that point. our CPU is now installed and ready to go. And while we're on the CPU, we might as well go ahead and install our cooler, which we decided just to go with the stock cooler. If this was, like a 12th gen i5 or like a higher end Ryzen CPU, we would definitely be going aftermarket. But honestly, these things are very power efficient and the stock cooler is actually pretty decent for them. So we got to remove the 4 screws. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead and have the AMD logo facing this way. This is something I don't know if I always address, but you can flip the logo. Just takes a few minutes, so we're gonna skip that little step. All right, now I like to run the cable underneath the cooler like this, make sure that it's not pinched or anything. You can see we got plenty of slack there, so we know we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in, just so you don't forget. So we're just gonna screw each corner just a little bit, because if you screw one corner down all the way, you're gonna find that the cooler is gonna kind of fight you trying to get it on. All right, so we got the cooler on. Just like Intel, you should be able to pick it up by the cooler, shake it around, you're good to go. We're gonna go ahead and do the RAM next. So we're gonna pull out the 2 sticks of RAM. It's actually some all right looking RAM for being pretty cheap and budget. And we're gonna be using slots, I get, everyone calls them differently. I always call them 1 and 3, but some people call them 2 and 4. But you can see here it's actually labeled. We got bank 2 and A2, or B2, A2 first, right there. So we're gonna take the RAM, and it can only go in one way. You can see the little notch in the middle there lines up. So we'll go ahead and put in the other stick as well. And then we use both thumbs on opposing corners, just like that, or opposite ends. And they should push down all the way on their own. If you're having to push the latches up, a lot of times it means your RAM's not making good contact, and I would try to reseat it. Now it's time to put in that P41 NVMe SSD. We're gonna go ahead and open an M.2 screw. These are gonna be tiny little screws, so try not to lose these. Now they're gonna have a notch, kind of like your RAM, where it can only go in one way. We're gonna use the top slot, and it's gonna go in diagonally like this. So this is actually normal for it to kind of sit there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the proper bit. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out the PH1 here. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and screw this in. Boom. Just like that, we got our PH1 in, our SSD is in, RAM and CPU and cooler. So we now have a completed motherboard that is ready to plop into the case whenever you're ready.
All right, guys, it's time to get your case ready for your motherboard. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is take off this tempered glass side panel, which this case is nice because it has this hinge system with magnets. All you gotta do is open it up, lift it up, you're good to go. Always recommend putting your glass in the box away from anywhere where it could fall and break, because again, it is glass. We're gonna remove the back panel as well, which have these 2 screws on the back, which I've already removed. Sometimes they might be a little bit too tight. You might need to use this Phillips screwdriver to actually take them off, but in this case, it wasn't too bad. So go ahead and rip off the back panel right here. Same deal, just keep it in the box so you don't lose it. Now we're gonna go ahead and install the power supply, which we have sitting right here. We've taken it out of the box, so we're good to go. There will be like a little twist tie that holds all these cables together. Undo the twist tie, you're good to go there. You will also want, let's see, this little baggie in there, which comes with some zip ties, which you can use for cable management, and the screws we need for the power supply. Let's go ahead and open this up. As you see right here, we have 4 coarse threaded screws, which we'll start showing you guys the difference between the screws here because it is important. These are coarse threaded screws, or power supply screws we like to call them, and we will be using those for the power supply. One quick tip as well, if you guys don't want to lose these backside panel screws, be sure to screw them back into the case because, well, we tend to lose those a lot here at the Toasty Bros. The Toasty Bros lose a lot of things. PC Bros kind of carries us in terms of keeping things organized. We lose a lot of crap. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it this way so I can show you guys what we're working with here. Here's all these other cables that we will just pull out of the way for now so they're not in the power supply basement. And then we're gonna take our power supply. The power supply, oh, is there something else I missed? Oh, the little instructions. We don't need those instructions, you don't need those there. We're gonna take our power supply, fan side facing down, because it gets its airflow from the bottom of the case. See that right there? And we're gonna go ahead and take our power supply, slide it in, and then I'm gonna turn this around so Jonah can see what's happening here. Right there, so you see all those 4 screw points? That is where you're gonna screw in the power supply. We're gonna take our PH2 screwdriver, line this back up. We're gonna start with the top left screw and the bottom left, woo! And just like that, your power supply is installed. Now we need to get the case ready for the motherboard, which means installing the I/O shield. As you see right here, there's this cutout. That is where your I/O for the motherboard is gonna go, which is basically all your USB ports and everything. Your I/O sits on top of it like so. There we go, woo! I'm just not used to these budget boards having a BIOS flashback button. I thought those were the audio ports, so funny. But yeah, that's what it looks like. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is use the audio ports on the bottom. As if you're facing the case, the audio ports are gonna be down like this. So we're gonna go inside the case. Be sure not to pinch that fan cable because that will get in the way and cause some problems. Make sure it's lined up, push in all the corners. And I love these newer motherboards. These IO shields are so much nicer because they have like that padding and stuff. And honestly, I feel like they pop in a lot easier. And boom, just like that, our IO shield is installed and ready to go. This right here, this bag right here, is the screws you're going to need to install the motherboard. Undo this little twist tie right here. There's your screws. Now, kind of move the cables out of the way. It's kind of a mess and it might have a little bit of a bulge when you lay it down like this, but that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the table. Always lower the table for your cameraman. You always gotta do that. And we're gonna take our motherboard, grab it by the cooler. As long as you installed it correctly, you should be able to just go like this with it. It shouldn't go anywhere. We're going to drop it in the case. I already know ahead of time that there are no extra standoffs. This actually has a decent amount of standoffs that'll work just fine. Let's go ahead and push this over here. Line her up like so. Make sure it pops out the IO shield and boom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, let me see, did this come with extra standoffs? Because I'll show you guys a little demonstration on how to do that real quick. I will say I didn't do it with the other one because you don't necessarily need to. But if you want to screw your board down all the way, you do have the 2 extra standoffs. Why don't they just put those in there? Come on, let's just demo it. Motherboard's coming back out for a second. So we're gonna use tools that you can find at home. Sometimes motherboards will come with a little tool that goes on the tip of a screwdriver that allows you to put these in, but we'll use these because it's easier that way. As you see right here, they're labeled M because we have a micro ATX motherboard. We're gonna go ahead and install these. Again, you don't have to do this if you're having some issues, and sometimes you can't have issues with these, which all you gotta do is really just get them started. Okay, we got that one going there. Tighten it down. But this is really just for those people like Jonah, the perfectionists out there, that want their build to be absolutely perfect, just like standoffs. So go ahead and twist this in. You want to make sure they are pretty tight because if they aren't, when you try to unscrew the motherboard at any point, it might come with the screw. And yeah, that means for you to get them off, you have to take out all the screws in the motherboard and it can be kind of an annoying mess. Now that we have those in there, let's try this again. Take our motherboard, plop it in the case. Make sure our IO is good to go in the back. That's looking pretty good right there. And as you can see, we have our extra standoff points now. Woo! So we have this one, that one, that one, that one, that one by the CPU power, and that one kind of hidden underneath here. We're gonna get our fine threaded screws, which for comparison, guys, this right here is a power supply screw. This right here is a fine thread screw. This case uses fine threaded screws, not power supply screws. Now look at the power of the LTT screwdriver. Boop, just like that. We're gonna go ahead and take our fine threaded screws, start with the top left by the CPU power. We're gonna go ahead and screw that in. You might need to push that cable out of the way for the fan. We'll go ahead and screw this in. And then we're gonna work our way this way, this way, this way, and get them all screwed in with the same screws. And the last screw is going in. And look at that. We have our motherboard installed, ready to go. I'm gonna raise the table up here a bit so we can lift this bad boy up. Okay, so now you have your motherboard installed, and now it's time to get to the scary part. I know you can't see it right now, but this right here, this is a lot of cables to mess with, I will say. But don't worry, we're gonna show you guys how to put this together. We're gonna show you how to plug everything up to the motherboard, get the graphics card installed, and then you'll be ready to game on this thing. Well, after installing Windows, but you'll be ready to game on this thing, and yeah, I'm excited to see what the performance is like. All right, guys, we got Jonah on the other side building this PC, but we're gonna hand him some cables. What we have right here first is our 24-pin power connector, which, again, main power to the motherboard. We're gonna go ahead and feed this bad boy through. I'm assuming this is the best spot right here?
Perfect. So you have two sides of course, and this side with the little lip is what I call it. That's gonna go on the outside. So you're just gonna turn it around like this and just do your best to line it up. And then you're gonna give it a nice firm push and you'll feel that lip kind of pull over and connect to the connector there. And just like that, motherboard is plugged in.
What we have right here is our 8-pin CPU power. You can see that it says CPU on the side, and it is 8 total pins. So we're gonna run that up here, the top right corner. It's gonna come out for Jonah.
It's a little tight, but once you get it through, yep. And then again, same thing with the motherboard, guys. It has that, I'll try and show you on camera. It has that lip on one side, that goes on the top. So just kind of flip it up, and then you kind of have to use your raccoon hands, and then push in. Easy enough.
Easy peasy. All right, so we have the main power for the board plugged up and ready to go. Let's get the actual motherboard connections to the case. So we have this little bundle here with all the connections we need. We have USB 3, HD audio, normal USB. We're gonna go ahead and start with USB 3. Where does that need to go?
Right here, so you can probably go from the bottom or the top. Top might be a little better, actually.
Okay, so we'll go to the same spot we did the 24 pin, just right underneath the 24 pin. I'm gonna feed that USB 3 through right there.
And this one has a small notch. You can see that right there on the blue side.
and that's gonna be facing the outside of the case, so you're just gonna be lining that up. And these do have pins on the actual connector, so just line it up, make sure you're nice and lined up, and then just do a nice small push in, and it'll seat right in place. And USB 3 is connected.
So now we have this little like bridge together connector. One's HD audio, one's USB. We're gonna go ahead and pull these apart a little bit. We're gonna first start with the HD audio. As you can see, it says HD audio. It is missing a pin right there. You can see that. We're gonna go ahead and take the HD audio. We're gonna run it to the far, it would be, if you're looking at it from Jonah's side, the far left.
Far left. And HD audio is pretty much always in the far left, guys. So just kind of look for that. And it's usually, again, just find that missing pin. Here's HD audio. And again, you want to find that missing pin and just line it up with that missing pin on the board. You won't be able to see much on camera right now, but just line it up, push it in, just like that. And then you are plugged in HD audio, and usually the text will be on the top as well, for at least this case.
All right, so the same spot the HD audio was, we're gonna run our USB 2 connector. You can see right here, USB 2. We'll go ahead and look underneath here, and let's run it closer on this side. There. Oh, come on. This is a tough spot.
I know, that power supply is
there you go.
causing troubles, but missing pin on this one too. It's gonna be going on the bottom right, so we'll just kind of line it up with one of these black cased spots right here. Doesn't really matter which one you do, so just kind of line it up and then push in. Just make sure you're straight when you push in, and that's pretty straightforward. So USB plugged in.
All right, now this one's a little bit tricky. This is the front panel, which it's all these little connectors right here, as you can see. They're power switch, power LED, and hard drive LED. The power switch is the most important one because that's the one that allows your power button to actually work. But we're gonna go ahead and feed those through this cutout right here because the front panel, again, on most builds is normally on this side.
All right, guys, and McAllister's gonna show up a little diagram on screen, but for where you plug all these in. But essentially, the best way to remember this is, for all the connectors right here, pretty much have your LEDs on the left side, and then your power switch and reset switch on the right side. So we're gonna start with HD LED, which is gonna be on the bottom left, and you'll just plug that straight in. And make sure you're not plugging it into the speaker. SPK, PLED1, make sure you're on the very right side. So we're gonna plug that in like so, and then you have them kind of split off from each other, which is power LED right here. And then the plus comes first, so you're just kind of pair them together and then push in at once. That's usually how I do it. Show you after they're plugged in. These can be kind of tricky, but you plug them in right above the HD LED, and power switch is top right, and then right to the right of that power LED, plus and minus. You can see right there, that is nice and plugged in, and then we have no reset switch, so those are the only thing you gotta do.
Yep, the reset switch is gonna be used to turn the LED on and off in this case. So that is already used currently on this right here. Now, the last thing I need to give Jonah is the GPU power, which our graphics card uses a single 8-pin for GPU power, but with this power supply, you get this little daisy chain setup with 2 8-pins. I'll show you what PCIe power looks like. As you can see right here, it says PCIe power on it. We're gonna go ahead and feed this through. I'm assuming this cutout's probably our best option. All right, so we'll take this, feed that up through here, try not to hit the front panel and such.
And you'll just kind of pull that through. And again, you're probably not gonna need this this extra piece here, but we'll cable manage that in a minute whenever it's actually all plugged in and everything. And sometimes you do have a little cutout on, depending on the case you buy, there'll be a cutout right around here or so. If it does work for your GPU, you can always use that. But for this build, we're just going from the back.
Now, the last thing we need to do on the back here is plug in the RGB, which unfortunately uses a Molex connector, but we do have Molex. This is what Molex looks like for those who want to know on the power supply. And we're gonna plug it into this little connector right here. It only goes in one way, just match the shape of the connector, push in. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. I really wish this connector didn't exist anymore. But now that they're all pushed in, we're good to go. None of these pins are protruding, so we are connected and good there. So the RGB will turn on and be powered. But at this point now, before we get Jonah to install the graphics card, we're just gonna shove some of these extra cables into this basement. That is the beauty of a power supply basement. You just kind of shove them in there. Try to keep them more to the right and also utilize this hard drive tray because again, we're not using hard drives or SSDs, 2.5-inch SSDs. So we can pretty much easily hide a bunch of these cables in there and keep them organized. Now, obviously cable management wise, we'll show you guys how to use some zip ties. Theoretically, if you just bundled all this up, zip tied it, you're good to go. If you don't really care too much about cable management, we'll show you guys the Toasty Bros way of making it nice and clean. But I'm gonna hand it over to Jonah to show you guys how to install the graphics card.
All right, guys, so what you're gonna need for the GPU install is obviously gonna be your screwdriver again, and then you're gonna need 2 coarse threaded screws, which you've been using for the power supply. We're gonna go ahead and take off this one screw right here, and that's gonna release the little cover for the PCIe lanes. And this one actually comes out, so make sure you hold on to this cover right here along with that extra coarse-threaded screw. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our GPU and line it up to the 4x16 lane and see which tabs need to break off. And it's looking like we're gonna have to do the first two on the top here. So you're just these are break off tabs, so you kind of have to just kind of wiggle them like this. So you just kind of wiggle them. They're actually pretty easy to take off, so just give it some nice gentle wiggles and they should pop right off without any issues. So there's one off, and then we'll do the same thing to the other. And off. And this GPU is used, but sometimes for the golden finger, you have to remove a little plastic cover. That's already off, so we're gonna go back over here to the lane, and there's usually this little piece that actually holds the finger onto the lane, so you're gonna push that out, and then pretty much just gonna line your GPU up, make sure it's in line with the lane, and then you'll wanna look over here on the left, slide that kind of to the left of the motherboard, and then once you're lined up, you just push, and you hear a nice, satisfying click, like so. And then what I do before I plug in the GPU is I take my two coarse-threaded screws that I grabbed earlier, and I'm gonna go ahead and install them to the left of the GPU. And I kind of like to hold it up, make sure it's nice and straight for the first screw once it like kind of grabs the actual bracket here. That way it's all nice and lined up and you don't have like a saggy GPU sagging downwards. We got both screws nice and tight in there. I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the cover right here with our coarse thread screw as well. Just kind of line it up, there we go. And then gonna get that screw, coarse thread screw on your screwdriver, and then just screw it in. This isn't like anything important really, but it's just like a nice little cover piece that makes sure that you're not messing with these screws when you don't need to. But anyways, last step guys for the GPU install is the PCI power. So you have like your first one right here and then one that trails off to the side. I like to use the first one so we can cable manage this one behind it. So it can only go in one way. So just line up the bottom lip towards the bottom of the GPU and push, and then we'll cable manage that in a second. Your GPU's installed and you're ready to game.
All right guys, now the cable management portion. Honestly, for most people at home, if this is your own PC build, and you really don't give a damn about cable management, you could just shove all this stuff in, put the side panel on, you're good to go. But we at the Toasty Bros like to make our builds look really nice, and we're gonna use some of these tie down points to cable manage this and go into a little time-lapse mode and show you guys the finished product. It's not gonna be anything crazy, but it's gonna be good enough to keep this nice and clean. All right guys, very basic cable management, not a major bulge or anything to where we shouldn't have a problem putting that back panel on, but we'll go ahead and show you guys demo-wise how it will look. Now this is a flat panel, so we really didn't have a ton of room to do like the big one single channel of cables method, which does work as well. But I really wanted to like flatten these out the best we could so you shouldn't have any issues. Make sure everything is good. And boom, there we go. So we're slid in now, and then we'll push this down like so and screw it down.
Magic's about to happen.
He's really trying here.
I did it. What? What? It doesn't work. It works.
It works! The zip tie just didn't make it work. Again, this is the only RGB you have here. It's this or this. So I mean, if you really wanted this case with no RGB, you actually get more fans this way. I think the default model only comes with one, so you can just turn it off and do this or this.
And it's the same price right now.
It's the same price, so you can't really complain too much. But hey, PC is built, wasn't too hard, was it? We're gonna go ahead and install Windows and play some games on to see how it performs, because you know what? For the price, I think with the upgrade path, it might be worth it for some of you guys at home.
All right, guys, it's Warzone time. Everybody's favorite drop-in game, besides Fortnite, of course.
Drop-in game.
But of course, we're running the balance preset, and we could go to basic, we could go to minimum, but we decided, let's keep it kind of aesthetically pleasing. We're not using any upscaling right now. What is happening?
There's a random lag spike there.
It didn't like me being in the menu. But no upscaling. We're probably gonna, as long as it can survive long enough, we might try to use like FSR, see if we can get a little more out of it.
Yeah, with a better CPU, the CPU does a lot of the upscaling. We're not CPU bottlenecked, so FSR actually should give us a good amount of performance uplift. It just depends if you care about FSR being on or not in the competitive shooter.
This thing has some recoil on it.
Oh, that guy's going
I'm going after these guys. Oh my god, I just started. Dude, why can these guns not shoot through anything?
And what is happening? You have 9 bullets. No, is he really hiding in the bathroom?
We were both so bad.
Oh!
Oh! Silver revive, hurry. Upscaling, which one do you think?
Let's do 3.
3.
Do 3, what's it set to? Is it set to balance? Yeah.
Let's go balance. Keep the game looking nice. I'll take that. Dude, what is wrong with me today?
Oh! There we go.
Multiple bogeys.
Oh.
Teaming? What's going on there?
Oh! Got him.
Oh, another!
There's
I should have
another
seen that
one.
coming. Oh! Imagine we got up and Well, that was
Call of Duty,
Warzone.
baby!
So once we put FSR 3.0 on, we maintained close to 100 FPS the whole time, which is pretty high.
Now let's play an esports title like Fortnite, which should take advantage a lot of that CPU power that we got. All right, guys, we in Fortnite, 1080p DX12 on performance settings, far view distance, low textures, and yeah, good performance. Obviously, with this build, we really did mention that esports titles are going to be awesome because you're getting the latest Ryzen 7000 series, good performance. Still going to stutter on the drop, though, because, hey, that's Fortnite for you. But after a couple drops, and once we landed, everything should be nice and smooth. And you also get that upgrade path. I mean, spending the same amount on, let's say, a more quote-unquote balanced system, you won't get the awesome upgrade path that is AM5. But with this build, again, there's multiple ways to do a build at different budgets. This one does show you that you can have a really awesome upgrade path and not sacrifice your performance right now.
Chat, is this person real?
I'm gonna assume no. Oh, that
that
stopped
wall
me?
stopped
Hold
you.
up. Build different. Yeah.
That was probably scary for them.
They're like, oh my, what was that?
Oh shit, they,
Oh!
Is that Slim Shady? Hotter than instead of twin babies.
Oh.
Oh, this, okay, I was like, this person has some movement. Pull out your gun, little Timmy, you little toad.
Ah!
Your vehicle's not gonna stop.
What? Alright! I don't really know what the plan was there, but hey, Fortnite running good. Can't complain here. We're gonna go ahead and run some other benchmarks, run our 3D Mark Time Spy benchmark to see what our score is there. And yeah, talk more about this PC, because again, this is a different take on a PC. Normally, if you went for the balanced approach, you might not have much of an upgrade path, but with the upgrade path focus in mind, I think this is a really awesome build. Let's go ahead and run those other benchmarks and then talk more about this PC and how you can win one. Whoa!
The build is complete, and we have benchmarked the build, and it ran pretty good. We actually managed to play every game that we threw at it, even those AAA titles such as Warzone. If you use a little bit of upscaling, you can actually maintain 100 plus FPS for the most part. But of course, we vouched multiple times, guys, because I know there's gonna be people in the comment section saying, why the heck did you build this? Well, $675 is not a big budget. Most people would say go Ryzen 5000 series, you know, save some money here and there, but we decided let's just go all upgrade. I mean, everything is good to go. You just need to put in a new GPU when you're ready.
And the other benchmarks show just how awesome this PC actually is. In Cyberpunk 1080p medium settings with no FSR, we only got 61 FPS average. I will say that's probably worst case scenario for the 1660 Super being a bottleneck, high-end AAA titles, but we still got 60 FPS. The finals at 1080p low settings really using that Ryzen 5 7600 with no FSR, we had 90 to 100 FPS, and our 30-hour time spy score was a score of 6,299, which is an 11 cent per point score. Again, if you are going to favor more upgradability and upgrade path, you are going to lose in the price performance department just slightly, but I really think, again, as Jackson mentioned, slapping in a better GPU is much easier than a full platform upgrade if you, let's say, went AM4 and already started off with a CPU that's not going to give you much of an upgrade. And one thing we have to mention, of course, would be, well, making a mistake we didn't mention it, if you are willing to wait, you could actually save about $60 and get a Ryzen 5 7500F as well if you want to build yourself, get that PC down a little bit cheaper, and even go with a better graphics card out the gate. But I think this experiment of a high-end CPU with a budget GPU turned out really well for esports titles, and I think it would be a good option for you, but Jackson's going to tell you how you have a chance to win one of these PCs coming up very soon.
So July 12th is the second Friday of the month. We do these every single month, every second Friday. We go live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, and we play a lot of fun games where the whole entire team gets to game together, and then at 5 p.m. we actually give away this PC right here. And all you gotta do is literally just be there and be located in the US, guys.
And you need to go to Twitch. twitch.tv/ToastyBros. That's where we're live streaming the entire giveaway stream. And we also cross stream it to Toasty Clips, our YouTube stream, but you need to be on the Twitch chat to actually earn the toast, to earn the PC giveaway, you know. So just go to the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and sub to Toasty Clips as well.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. And do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
And of course, this is all made possible by PCBros.tech, our PC selling business, because not only do we give away one of these, we also sell 4 more of them at a really great price.
PCBros.tech. Building a PC isn't for everyone, and that's where PC Bros come in. You could buy this PC or a bunch of other ones and use code ToastyBros on checkout, not 2. You'll save 3% on your next purchase. We're still getting used to that, guys. See you guys later. Goodbye.